Hi, I'm Sunil, and in this episode of Systematic Property, we'll talk about 5 things you can do before you have to lower your rents. Let's go find out what they are. So your property's empty and you don't have a tenant, you're thinking of lowering your rents. Well, here are 5 things you can do before you have to lower your rents. Number 1, advertise more. Spend more money on trying to get new tenants. It's kind of like the reverse of what everybody else does. Everyone else is trying to curtail their expenses because rents are coming down. You should spend more money to get more tenants. And maybe even spend more money on your property, kind of like improve the value of your property. So apart from advertising more, just spend a little more, because I can tell you, even when rents go down, there are still people willing to pay a premium for a better service. So advertise more. Point number 2 is to look at different ways of renting your property. Now, let's say you had a property that you rented to a family for $1,000 a month, and rents have come down, it's now $750, and there's no one who wants to rent your property for $1,000. Well, maybe you could rent it to a business for $1,000. Maybe you could rent it to 3 businesses, rent each room to freelancers or solopreneurs. Just thinking about your property differently is going to allow you to make additional income. Maybe renting it to students. Whatever it is you're doing, you can always find a way to increase the rental income of your property by renting it differently. Now, in some parts of the world, you have to get permission to do that. You're going to have to talk to the local authorities to make sure you can rent your property in a different way. But if you can, that could be a good solution. Point number 3 is to do value add additions or value additions. You know, if someone is renting your property and they're going to a gym, then maybe you've got a small space. You could put a gym or some gym equipment in that space in your property, and all of a sudden now your property has a gym. Property without a gym, property with a gym, which one's worth more? Of course, the property with the gym. Or maybe you could put a barbecue outside, or you could repaint the rooms, or you could do, that's not really a value-added service, or you could provide a cook or a chef or a cleaning service or a laundry service, or put an Xbox in, or whatever it is. Anything that you can do that's low cost to you but high value to the client is going to mean that you can keep your rents the same, or at least charge more than other people. And I like doing that rather than reducing my rents. That's a much better way. Point number 4 is to look at what your competition is now doing. When you started out investing, chances are you took a look around and saw what your competition was doing. When rents go down, it's time to relook at that research and time to look at what everyone else is charging and what service they're providing for the fees they're charging. Again, so you can ideally do more than them and charge more money than them. You know, there's always someone who's willing to pay a premium. You just have to figure out what that premium is. And I think the last way that I like to increase my rents, or to ensure that I get tenants, is by offering referral fees to my existing tenants, or to say, hey, you know, do you know someone who can rent this property? I'll give you some money. Now, it might mean that I have to actually end up making less money because I'm paying the referral fee, but it means that my rent is still the same, and that hasn't come down. And that's an important psychological aspect when you're running a business of property. So before you go out and reduce your rents, think about these things. How can you increase your rents or keep them at the levels they were by providing value-added services, asking for referrals, checking out your competition, obviously finding different ways to rent your property, and at the end of the day, spending a little bit more money to get the results that you want. Thanks for watching. I'm Sunil.